O'Keefe ended up dead because he went to Brian Albert's house. After Brian Higgins left, Brian Albert maintained contact with him. At 2:22 in the morning, the two of them were exchanging phone calls to check in with each other just a couple of hours after Mr. O'Keefe was mortally attacked. Mr. O'Keefe had dog bites and or scratches on his arm consistent with a dog or an animal attack. Brian Albert had a large German Shepherd who had attacked and injured somebody in the past. It all fits. The Commonwealth utterly failed to investigate Brian Albert as a potential suspect. And I'm sure the court remembers the words in a text message of now ex-trooper Michael Proctor, the lead investigator who's now been fired as a result, in part, of being biased in this investigation. I would point out also that when Mr. O'Keefe was in the house, both Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were unaccounted for, according to the testimony. With regard to Michael Proctor's words, he was asked specifically if the homeowner would catch any grief for having a deceased person on his front yard, and Michael Proctor said, nope, the homeowner is a Boston cop too. The message was clear. If you're a suspect, you get fully investigated unless you're on the right side of the blue wall. If you're a police officer, you get a pass. Now, in addition to the 2:22 a.m. phone calls with Higgins, there's other consciousness of guilt evidence implicating Brian Albert. And I would note, this is not something that Mr. Brennan addressed in his argument. He did talk about the consciousness of guilt evidence. Despite a massive police presence on his front yard, just feet from his bedroom, Brian Albert never came out to speak with investigators. And it's worth noting, it's worth stressing that Brian Albert was a first responder. He chose to ignore his duty to help somebody in need and instead stayed in his bedroom. And Brian Albert's dog, the family dog, a member of the family for 7 years, Brian Albert got rid of the dog, shipped it to another state, only after it was made known in court that the defense was alleging that the dog had been involved in the attack on John O'Keefe.